Are orcs smart as they are hot, or are they just hot-headed brutes? So in my mangas, let's talk about intelligence. And we're going to be covering both series because they share the same world. And for this discussion, I'm going to classify intelligence in the terms of how easily can you get knowledge, how easy can you retain knowledge, and how much knowledge can you have, and to be able to effectively utilize that knowledge. So the reality when it comes to getting knowledge, long-lived races have the absolute advantage, and elves are one of those races living almost 1,000 years. But also orcs like Parathon here do live quite a long time, I believe going almost 800 years. But the problem with this is, yes, they do live an incredibly long time, but during their first part of their life, they're still developing. Like orcs don't even become adults until the age of 60. And female orcs aren't considered adults until they're 65. And forest elves got it even worse because they don't reach adulthood until 96. And what makes it worse, they don't hit adolescence until 60 years old. But the thing about elves is they have forest-born and cityscaped elves. As we've discussed before, cityscaped elves do live just as long as their forest-born counterparts, but if they're outside the precious lands, they do age up to the same level as humans. So cityscaped elves will hit adulthood around 18, but forest-born elves have quite a ways to go. But being cityscaped has a big downside because when you're old, you stay old. So you got about 700 years of just being an old granny versus a forest-born who will age appropriately and like a fine wine. And this age difference does put humans at a significant disadvantage because while yes, it does take a much longer time for elves and orcs to basically develop the cognitive function that humans do at certain early ages, but when elves and orcs hit adulthood, they have so much more lived experience than a human will have when they become an adult. So yes, humans do learn fast comparatively, but they learn a lot less in the long run. Which is why humans are not the predominant race when it comes to knowledge-based fields such as historians or academics because they just don't have the time to gain all the knowledge their peers would have. But when it comes to knowledge, there is one race that is common that stands above the rest of them. And that is the Midrifts, which is a species created by the Kranos to be spies and food. What makes them so unique in terms of academics, they retain a perfect recollection of their parents' knowledge and history. So that means every Midrift knows the history of their people from their conception. So each Midrift has centuries of knowledge that they can draw upon at any moment. And because Midrifts have the ability to mate with other races, they have the ability to get first-hand experience of other races, long-lived races like elves, who can live 800 years. They automatically gain that knowledge. But this also means that they are prevented from, a lot of cases, entering into national security positions because one Midrift gains knowledge, and if they pass it on to their kids, the national secrets are out just like that. If that Midrift ends up having kids, they will always be able to withdraw on that information. But you can get caught up on the lore. They're free to read in my bio.